Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitchside Podcast channel. I'm your host, the HOD of the BSB. Like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these match recaps and all other content on the channel. Follow social media and Pitchside BSB on Twitter, Pitchside Pod on Instagram, and you can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. And we're coming to you straight after the game between Juventus and Lazio in the Serie A in round 26. It's incredible. It's really incredible. Round 25. It's incredible for a lot of reasons. This game, not certainly for the comeback that Juventus made against Lazio. I think it was textbook Juventus overall. If you wanna say anything about it, of course, Juventus entered this game with no Dybala, no De Ligt, no Chiellini, no Bentancur as well, and it was interesting to see how they're going to be dealing with this game. In the first half, I mean, practically it was indeed textbook Juventus. They had possession, but they were slow on it. They didn't do much on it. In fact, it was Lazio with the most dangerous chances and with the goal early on, thanks to Joaquin Correa, a giveaway from Kulusevski. Obviously, with Juventus having no Bentancur in the middle to be alongside Rabiot, both players in the centre of the park, with Rabiot and Ramsey being, less defensive than normal, really. That's what I could say about them. Bernardeschi serving as a sort of a wing back into a sort of a left side midfielder mostly. Kulusevski and Morata, no Ronaldo, of course, thinking ahead of that Champions League game against Porto. That is probably the right decision of Andrea Pirlo, regardless of how the game turned on. And of course, Lazio decided that they will just go about the game as usual in the first 50 minutes or so, scoring a goal thanks to Correa. Beautiful finish, by the way, from him. And then, of course, Lazio just sat back, sat deep and absorbed the pressure. Juventus was still slow, not exactly mobile on the ball. They couldn't open Lazio a lot, and obviously the fact that they don't have that strength in the middle of the park anymore, no Ronaldo to move smartly, and Morata and Kulusevski not exactly the best players when it comes to moving and creating space for the players coming from behind. They tried to open the game on the outside, Cuadrado on one side, Bernardeschi on the other, and they eventually were successful in the first opportunity, really, where they could manage to penetrate through the wings of Lazio. I mean, both flanks were really weak for Lazio, of course. No Lazzari on the right hand side. Also, Maricic was moved out of his position of the left wing back position into a third centre half, almost a right back in the second half, and it wasn't working. And on the first time he was caught, Adrien Rabiot, probably Juventus' best player in the game, really, scored the opener. Beautiful finish. Everybody expected him to cut it back to Morata in the box, to Kulusevski actually in the box, but he ruffles it with his left foot. Brilliant finish into the top corner, a finish which I thought Pepe Reina could have done really better than to just go and watch the ball go into the roof of his net. And it was 1-1 Juventus at halftime, and that's all Juventus needed. That only shot on target in the first half, but it was the most important. And then, of course, the second half brought the goods for Juventus. The substitutions from Simone Inzaghi, I thought they were the best thing he could do, really. Not exactly a lot they could do about this game. And certainly, Lazio started stronger that second half. They had a couple of opportunities, of course, a crossbar, a header from Sergej Milinkovic-Savic early on, but once they get caught, it was never the same game, really. And while they were changing sort of the shape, with Escalante getting in for Lucas Leiva, Patrick getting instead of Senad Lulic, making it a proper 4 in the back sort of thing, and as they were changing the shape, and I always say that whenever a team is changing the shape, it's probably the best time for the opponents to score goals, and that's what happened, really. Lazio get a counter, they don't deal with it really well. Gonzalo Escalante goes 50-50 with Federico Chiesa. Chiesa intercepts, and that's a counter for Juventus. They get caught, and that is his second goal from Morata. Brilliant finish also from him, left foot as well into the top corner. As much as he doesn't give you a lot on the pitch, but he could still provide you some moments of magic like he did. And then, of course, in quick fire succession, Morata scores from the penalty spot after a penalty from Aaron Ramsey. Clumsy challenge, of course, from Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. Penalty all day long. 3-1 for Juventus. Ronaldo, I would argue, wasn't even needed for the rest of the game, but of course, because he's someone who's eager to play, you need to give him a couple of minutes, of course, because of his stature and because of his name in the game. He gets the last 20 minutes for himself, and Andrea Pirlo manages to manage the game, control it, and really set the pace and set the tone really well for the rest of the game. Lazio tried a lot, but they weren't quite successful. They weren't exactly penetrating the Juventus backline as much as they did in the first half and the early goings of the second half. A big victory for Juventus. It puts them 1 point behind AC Milan, of course, before the game that they will play against in the Serie A against Verona on Sunday. Inter, of course, play Atalanta on Monday as well, so they're still 7 points behind them. Possibly they won't catch up to them, but it's all really about getting those top 4 spots locked down. Of course, Roma still in action on Sunday, Napoli as well. It's going to be interesting to see if they could keep their spot by the end of the round, mostly thanks to Atalanta if they win against Inter. Important victory for Juventus, another slump for Lazio. It's bad form for the Eagles of the capital, not exactly the best record at the moment. Only 1 win in their last 5. It's really horrible for them. I mean, a loss that we expect really from Lazio overall, because they dropped off and they exposed themselves too much, and they had a thin backline really that didn't exactly support and didn't bear the load of the game in the second half. That's it from me for this match recap. I was your boy, the HOD of the BSP. Like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications always to receive the updates from these match recaps and other content on the channel. Follow us on social media, at BSP on Twitter, BitSide on Instagram, and listen to our podcast, of course, tomorrow, dropping on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. And until next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.